uh, Made another. I have two more videos after this one and everything, and then the third one I'm going to talk about. This might be a little bit longer than the other ones, not by a lot, but I'm going to be saying a few extra things and everything. Mainly like where you can find the actual post itself, just in case you want to, I don't know, like fact check it or something. I don't know. It's whatever. But yeah, we have for today we have um you can't have an ego and love someone. Stay with me, I'll tell you why. Title is, of course, the title is, love and ego. And it reads simply this. The reason the reason ego and love can't coexist is simply because depending on depending on what's been said to someone, their ego won't let them have a grasp on what's being said to them. To their ego, it makes it seem that they're wrong, and the biggest thing in a relationship are decisions. Some are smaller, some are bigger than others. But if you have a very big ego, you won't listen to what your partner has to say because you feel that you know better than them. Ego takes away the vision of you and your partner. Takes away the vision of you and your partner versus a problem or decision, and flips it where it's you and your ego versus your partner versus the problem and or decision. Instead of feeling like it's one or two problems, it doubles to two to four or even more because your ego sees other people's info as a threat. So you end up doing things the hard way in hopes to solve the problem or decision and prove your partner wrong. But after a while, something will break because you might be wrong, but you might be wrong, but you took an extra step just to be right in a relationship. Just to be right in a relationship, work smarter, not harder. It's y'all as one versus the obstacle. But sometimes ego won't let that happen. I'm telling you, I'm telling you this. If you kill your ego, you and your partner will be a lot happier. Trust me. It's which is very true. It is. Like no one's and in no way am I saying that you have to completely, have no ego whatsoever. You know, like I'm not saying that everyone has ego in something that they do. Like if there's something that you're very, um, this is something you're very passionate about. Obviously, you're gonna have an ego for whatever that is, because it's the fact that you know so much about said, hobby or food or sport or whatever the case may be. You know, but it's the fact that some people, like, some people know more than you. Other people, you know, might know things that you didn't even know yourself. Was the fact that when people, it's the fact that when someone says something that you don't know or whatever the case may be, and it's something that you're very passionate about, something that you could remember, spending a lot of time doing or studying or whatever the case may be, it makes you feel like angry in a sense because it's just like I know so much, so you try to basically prove that you know more, which doesn't help anything, especially when it comes to like making decisions. Of course, there are smaller ones like where should we eat or what should we do or stuff like that. Like that's small, obviously. There are smaller and bigger problems and decisions that are made, of course. But it's the fact that when someone has a very strong ego, they think that they think they know more than everyone, no matter what their partner has to say about it. Even if their partner's been through the exact same thing, and you yourself have been through like nothing, or you've been through some stuff, but they've been through like the exact like thing that's happening at the moment. Is the fact of you'll just be very you'll basically be very like high and mighty in the sense of just, oh, I know more than you, or I think I know more than you, so I'm gonna try everything I can to make sure that like I'm right and you're wrong, in the sense to basically show that they know more, when in reality it's just like that's not a healthy thing to do. It's not. Like, you can always. It's not a healthy thing to do at all. Like, it's the fact of. It's the fact of it should always be you versus the problem. Or not you versus the problem, but it should be you and your partner versus the problem. It shouldn't be, you and your ego are, tag teaming, and it's like you versus your partner versus whatever issue it is. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't be separate. It's about you should be together, trying to come up with a game plan for whatever the decision is, or whatever the problem is. But to basically just say like, to basically think that you know more than anyone, and it's the fact that you could know more. It's possible, but at the same time, just because you know more doesn't mean you're better than that person. You know, like it's not. But it's the fact that when people have really big egos, they think they're like on top of everything. They could do, they think they can do no wrong and everything, and they'll be fine and whatnot. But it doesn't work like that. Oh my goodness, sorry. But it's the fact that it doesn't work like that. It's the fact of it's the fact that it doesn't work like that. It's the fact of you need, you always need someone to. You always need someone to. It's it's good to know a bunch, but it's always good to know. It's always good for someone to not know as much as you, because you never know. You know, there could be a problem, and you want to go this route, and it's a lot more tedious and harder to do. But since you've been through that problem before, and that way worked, it's just like, well, at least you do that. But if your partner, you know, went through the same situation, and but they did it this way, and it seems easier, it's not that they're saying that your way of solving that problem is stupid. They're just saying that there's an easier way to do it, because in the sense it's better to work smarter, not harder. It's better to work less to solve a problem. It really is. Simply because which one would you rather do? Would you rather, like, I'm trying to come up with an example, if I'm being honest. Like, okay, let's do it. Okay. Example, like, I'll do an example for myself, basically, because I had a very big ego when it came to, like, fixing stuff. Like, when it came to fixing, like, lawn equipment and whatnot, because I've done it before. I've done it fucking thousands of times, because being the oldest, that's just what the oldest really had to do was, help dad fix stuff, and then when he was busy, then the oldest would fix everything, and, so on and so forth. But it's the fact of, like, fixing a lawnmower, like, fixing the blades. You need to, like, I haven't fixed a lawnmower in so long, but you need to get, like, a jack, and you want to do it this way. And it's the fact that, I want to say at some point my brother had mentioned, like, some other way, and it was a lot easier. It really was. Like, I want to say it was like I wanted to basically pick up the lawnmower and like tip it on its side just to get to the blade and everything. His idea was to get a jack and basically just jack it. That sounded so off. But he wanted to basically jack the lawnmower up so then it would, so you could basically just slide under it and, fix the, replace the blades and everything. That sounded so fucking weird. All of that sounded so weird coming out of my mouth. Oh my god, that doesn't make it better. God. Anyways, whatever. But it's like that's the definition of working smarter, not harder, because it's the fact of which one to you sounds like the easier road to go down. Picking it up or getting a jack from the like wherever your jack is at, garage, your car, whatever the case may be. Is it which one is easier? Like which one do you think would be easier? Like lifting it up on its side, or getting a jack from like the garage or something, and then just putting it on there, and then tilting it so you can actually get under there and actually replace it. That's the best example I can really give because it's the only one I can actually think of. But it's just like something like that is better in my opinion. Like it's better to work. It's better to work smarter. It's better to like take a step back, look at the problem, analyze the problem. Then make the thing. Because depending on the problem, you don't have to get it done that second. There are a lot of problems that people have in relationships and whatnot. It's like if a problem happens, stop, take a step back, analyze it, talk amongst yourselves, and then go for it. But don't think that you have to do it all by yourself. Don't think just because you've done it so many times, doesn't mean that it's the more convenient way of doing it. Because there's always an easier way of doing everything. There's an easier way to do anything in this entire world. That's just true. There's so many different ways to do so many different things that it'll make your head spin. But it's one of those things where people don't take it into account at all, and then they're just like, that was fucking hard. But it's like, yeah, of course it was hard. You did it this way, which is probably the hardest fucking way you probably could have done it. When you could have did it this way. Because I would tell you this, doing something and then later, like, having someone tell you, like, why did you do it this way when you could have did it this way? And it's the fact that the way they tell you is the exact way that you heard, like, your significant other say, or you heard, like, your partner say, and it's just like, okay, all right. It's the fact that if you have a big ego, that will kind of, not even kind of, that will, like, annoy you in the sense, because it's just like, I got it done. Like, what? Like, I got it done. Like, what? Like, why does it matter? But, that's simply just me. But it's just like ego and love isn't, like, I'm not saying that you have to, like I said before, like, I'm not saying you can't have ego and love at the same time. Because you can. It is definitely possible. But it's the fact of having the right amount of ego. Having the ability to, know that things can be fixed. Things can be handled a different way than what you're used to. Like, as long as you can kind of, like, as long as you can see that and understand that, then it's the fact that you should be golden. You should be fine. Like, there shouldn't be any issues. But the fact that most people get most people get big egos because of like even the woman or the man that they're with, because it's just like, oh, this person, is a 10, you know. But it's the fact that some people get like that, where they're just like, they get all big headed because it's just like, oh, this person's situation is like this, but my situation is better than theirs. So I'm like, I'm the best thing, for them. You know, it's the fact that some people have such big egos that they believe that their partner won't leave them because of whatever situation they are in, which is completely false. Like, I've seen, oh my god, I've seen so much shit. I've seen so many people just leave because it's just like, it's, what's that word? Demeaning? I think that's what that word is. Demeaning, I think is the word. I have no idea. I'm more or less guessing here. But yeah, it's more or less like it's demeaning because it's just like you don't really you don't really give that person really the opportunity to really do anything. Like you kind of just tell them what is and what isn't. But yeah, I just me personally, I don't like you can have ego, but it's something that just you can't have a lot of it. I feel like you have to know that like you have to have the what's that shit called? The awareness, I guess. Yeah, you have to have the awareness to know that you have to have the awareness to know that you're not the best. You might seem like it might seem like you're the best or whatever, but it's the fact of like there are people that are better than you, and that goes for both genders. Obviously, there are people that are better than you. Like that's just life. Like literally, that's literally just life. But it's the fact of just like don't ever think that your significant other won't leave you, even if like I've seen I've seen fucking I've seen like literally from both sides, from both male and female. I've seen literally like women get with like dudes that are completely like broke and everything, and you know build them up and then treat them like shit, and then just to kind of hang that over their head, like basically saying like, oh, I did all this for you, da 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 da. But it's the fact that just because you've done something for somebody doesn't mean that they owe you anything. If I'm being honest, like for example, like literally just for example, like I bought my well, this was before, but I not even before, but I bought her and her son, presents. One for his birthday, and then her for Valentine's Day. You know, I did that just because. It's the fact that it was there for a while because it was gonna be a surprise. But it's the fact that it wasn't something that It's not something that I'm like expecting something back from it. Like this same thing with like another example. I sent her what? I don't even know what I sent her. Like 170? No. Well, 7, 8, 9, 10. I sent her $210. Not all that one go, obviously, but it's the fact of like that's something that I wanted to do. It's the fact that I don't expect her to send that money back. And even if she did, I would just fucking decline it because I'm not expecting anything back. That's something I wanted to do. Like it's not something that she has to like. It's not something I'm gonna hang over her head for all eternity. You know, it's just like that's something that I genuinely wanted to do by myself. Not by myself, but that's something I wanted, to do. But it's just the fact that when people do stuff for other people, their ego grows, and they expect that person to like basically praise them or some shit when it's just like, why? Like, genuinely, why? It just doesn't make much sense. At least it doesn't make sense to me. Just because I've said this before, like, I'll do whatever for her. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter what time of month, year, decade, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the fact that, and I feel like that's something that you can kind of tell if it's something that I want to say there's another one that I made before that talked about like love and whatnot, I think. But that's like another reason how you can tell if you're, if you actually love that person is the fact that you're willing to do stuff for them. And if I'm being honest, the only thing you want in return is like a hug or a kiss, and that's it. Like that's it. Like there's nothing else to it. It's just that. There's nothing else like more than that. It's just those like 2 or 3 things, and that's it. Like, that's when you know. But I don't know. Definitely let me know if you agree. I don't know. I'm not saying like with all these videos that I'm gonna be making and everything. Like I'm not saying that I'm, right about everything, or I'm like this is shit that's set in stone or something. Like that's not what I'm saying. Like I'm just basically going off of like what I believe. Like for these topics, it's basically what I believe. Is like what I understand about these topics, basically. So I'm not saying that they're like, oh, these are like this is what it is. Like it's not. Like I'm not saying that at all. But yeah, definitely let me know. And also, put your info in the comments too if you would like. Like I would definitely love to see like a bunch of different people's, way of seeing certain things, It would definitely be really cool. Really cool to see.